Ariel, good to have you on the show. And let's jump into some basketball first. We have Donovan Mitchell returning for the Utah Jazz tonight in Utah. How does this impact how you're looking at Game 6 between Dallas and the Jazz?
Thanks for having me on. Good morning, guys. The way that I look at this game with Donovan Mitchell on the floor is back 2 games ago where Mitchell put up 24 points. More for me, it's Luka Doncic, the Dallas Mavericks All-Star, because when he came back, Mitchell ends up dropping in points. The defense got better. Dallas's defense got better. Dallas is playing like the 3rd best defense in the NBA, a.k.a. the Utah Jazz have the 3rd worst offense in the NBA playoffs since the playoffs began. There was 30-plus points scored by Mitchell in the first 3 games that he played. That was without Luka. Luka comes back game 4, Mitchell has 24, and then he gets hurt and he ends up with 9 points, or 23, and then he ends up with 9 points. Luka healthy is way more impactful for Dallas than seeing Donovan Mitchell come back for Utah. And granted, they're both extremely important. Just looks as if Dallas is the better team with Luka on the floor, even if Mitchell's over there for the Jazz. I'm going Dallas plus 1.5.
Yeah, I love that play, especially since Donovan Mitchell does not appear to be 100% healthy. He said that he wants to play because it's the playoffs, but he wasn't especially good last game. Let's switch gears to Game 6 in the West. The Suns, best team in the regular season, but the Pelicans putting a scare into Phoenix that few people expected. Can Phoenix close it out tonight?
I see Phoenix closing this out tonight. It's obviously going to be interesting because you're looking for Devin Booker. Is he in? Is he out? The Suns' leading scorer had a grade 1 hamstring strain. Now, the line has already moved in favor of Phoenix from -1.5 to -2.5. I did an NBA podcast for Yahoo Sportsbook last night that we recorded a day in advance, and we end up airing it this morning. I said, go jump on Phoenix -1.5 right now if you could still grab it. There was a video after the Suns' Game 5 loss to the Pelicans. It shows Booker yelling at the Pelicans bench saying, quote, "I'm back." Led me to thinking that Booker was coming back sooner than the reports were indicating. Then, of course, last night after the podcast, ESPN's Adrian Wojnarowski ends up reporting that there's a chance Booker returns Game 6 or Game 7. Line's already moving in favor of Phoenix. That looks like it's some Devin Booker money. Give me the Suns -1.5, closing out the series. I also like a prop in this spot. Even though New Orleans Pelicans' newest and one of their best shooters, CJ McCollum, he's been so good, especially without Brandon Ingram. He was averaging like 26, 27 points a game ever since coming over from Portland. It's the rebounds plus assists number that's been off in the playoffs. McCollum over 10.5 rebounds plus assists is my play. He's averaging 13 or more this series. Phoenix is allowing the 2nd most rebounds per game in the playoffs. Go bet that over of 10.5 rebounds plus assists if it's still there for McCollum tonight.
Talking to the prop queen, Ariel Epstein, on the Roman guest line. You can see her fine work on MLB Network's pregame spread, weekdays at 5 o'clock in the East with Matt Vasgersian. Ariel, the Sixers have a 3-2 series lead, and I know Doc Rivers and Philly fans are tired of hearing about blowing 3-1 leads, but the Raptors have the momentum. They're playing at home tonight. They're getting 1.5 against the Sixers. I love Toronto here, but what do you think?
We're on the same side, Jenks. I like Toronto, too, to cover the spread at plus 1.5. This is a complete fade on Philly's head coach, Doc Rivers, in closeout games. He's lost 31 out of 46 closeout games in 7 of his last 8. Toronto's 1-1 at home in this series. They lost game 1 in overtime by 3. They won the other game by 8. Even without their shooting guard, Fred VanVleet, Toronto, but he has a hip injury, but Toronto is going to play with their bigger lineup, and they're going to be better on defense. I'm taking the points with Toronto in Toronto tonight.
All right. We got to talk about some baseball because you are on MLB Network. Your K-props have been cash money for the most part. Are there some K-props you like on tonight's slate?
I'm looking at a bunch. Actually, the numbers came out early because there's a ton of early games. There's only 2 night games here on the East Coast for Major League Baseball tonight. I'll start with, let's see, I have to choose some of these. Toronto's right-hander, Alek Manoah, under 6.5 strikeouts. Starting pitchers are 7 and 9 over under against Boston, with righties 6 and 7 over under their K prop. Righties are averaging just under 5 strikeouts per start against Boston. They're not striking out much. Manoah this year, 5 against Houston, 6 against Oakland, 7 against the Yankees. And against Boston last year, Manoah had 5 and 4 strikeouts. AKA, he's gone over this number once this season. Didn't go over it at all last year against Boston. I'm going with the under 6.5 strikeouts on Manoah. I'm also going to take the over 3.5 strikeouts on St. Louis Cardinals right-hander Dakota Hudson. St. Louis has Arizona. The Diamondbacks have the third highest K rate in baseball, the highest against righties. Starting pitchers 9-8 over/under. However, righties 8-3 over/under their K prop against Arizona, averaging just over 5 strikeouts per start. This number at 3.5 is too low, especially because Hudson has had 2 games out of his 3 where he's thrown 4 strikeouts, and one was against Kansas City, and they are the second least strikeout-prone team in baseball. Give me the over 3.5 strikeouts for Dakota Hudson against one of the most strikeout teams in baseball, Arizona.
Ariel, I don't know if I have this right, so you have to correct me if I'm wrong, but I remember asking you about the NFL draft last week, and I think you were saying, well, I've got to learn it because I'm doing some work next week, and I know you're all over the place. You work with Yahoo, MLB, and NBA TV, so you do all sorts of things. So are you going to be watching the NFL draft, and are you going to bet on it?
I am going to be watching it. I'm not going to be betting it. New York does not allow for New Yorkers to bet on the NFL draft. I have a feeling it's going to change at some point in the near future. However, because I can't bet it, I'm not going to be. I do have a ton of picks that I've given out on Yahoo Sportsbook. Yahoo Sportsbook has posted a ton of content. We've basically gone through the entire NFL draft, at least in the first round, with a bunch of picks for every single position. And there's about 4 of us that have been going around giving out our actions. So make sure to tune into Yahoo Sportsbook. Go to the Twitter page. They're all over the Twitter and sports.yahoo.com.
She is the prop queen, Ariel Epstein. You can see her on Yahoo Sports and also analyst on MLB Network's pregame spread weekdays at 5 o'clock in the East. Ariel, thanks for being with us, and good luck on your bets today.
Thank you. Good luck tonight.